So a video I like to make every offseason is going over the landscape of the NBA and seeing who's going to get the greatest accolade at the end of their career, making it to the Basketball Hall of Fame. And a lot of things can change in a year time frame as well. So for this video, we're going to look at a bunch of NBA players, some retired players, some active players, and we're going to decide if they're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, just make the Hall of Fame eventually. They're on the cusp right now, on the right track, on the wrong track, or probably don't have a chance at making it. Like always, if you agree or disagree with anything that I have here, please let me know in the comments below. And if you guys do enjoy these videos, I'd appreciate it if you drop a thumbs up. All right, and we're going to start off with Al Horford, who definitely benefited himself this year with winning an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics, but it's not like he was the best guy on this team. He wasn't even a top 5 player on this team. It's towards the end of his career. I don't think he ends up getting in eventually. I mean, he did win a national championship at Florida. He's had a very good NBA career. I think he's in the Hall of Very Good, but I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'd say he has probably like maybe a 25% chance at making it right now. That title isn't going to mean as much as it would have if he won it on the Hawks or maybe in his early Boston Celtic days. So I don't think Al Horford gets in. Andre Iguodala is going to be a tough one. I think he's on the cusp. I don't know if he's going to get in. If you look at their careers just stacked up, Al Horford and Andre Iguodala individually, you could say that Al Horford was a better player throughout his career, but the thing that Andre Iguodala has, a finals MVP, getting it with the Golden State Warriors in the 2015 season. He has only one All-Star appearance, has a couple All-Defensive teams, but he's a 4-time NBA champion, but it's not like he did a lot on that 2022 championship team either. He was more of a veteran on that point. He won in 2015, 2017, 2018. I don't think he's going to get in, but I think just from the finals MVP alone, I got to put it on the cusp. I think Andrew Wiggins potentially had a chance after that 2022 championship run, being how important he was to that Warriors team. He was going to score a lot of points. Obviously, he was a good player at Kansas. I don't think that was going to hold too much, but yeah, I think Andrew Wiggins is not going to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I can't really say sorry man yet because he doesn't have a 0% chance making it because he's still pretty young in this league. So I'm going to say he's on the wrong track right now. And if it just keeps going that way, yeah, he's going to have next to 0 very soon. Anthony Davis will most definitely be a first ballot Hall of Famer. If he retired today, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won a gold medal. He was an insane player at Kentucky. He's had a great NBA career. He was a top 2 player on a championship team in 2020. 9-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, one of the best defensive players in the NBA since he entered the league in 2012. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, if Anthony Edwards retired today, he would not be a Hall of Famer, but man, you could not have asked for a better start to his career as the #1 overall pick out of Georgia. If USA wins a gold medal in these Olympics, he's going to already have a gold medal at such a young age. He was elite as a player this year, top 10 in the league, was an all-star and all-NBA guy. And like I said, he's extremely young, so he is definitely on the right track to having a Hall of Fame career. I would say the same thing with Bam Adebayo. Bam can get a gold medal this summer with Team USA. I don't think that would make him a first ballot if he retired today because he's still incredibly young. Was drafted in 2017, but he's had multiple top 5 Defensive Player of the Year finishes. He's been one of the best defenders in the NBA since he was drafted back in 2017. He's been a very good offensive player. He's been a 3-time All-Star, 5-time All-Defensive Team member. Yes, you would like to maybe see him make an All-NBA team or show that he can maybe lead a team offensively. I don't know if that will ever come, but I think the defense, the gold medal, and making it to 2 finals with the Heat, like having a good playoff resume as well, he is on the right track to being a Hall of Famer since he's very young. Blake Griffin, who recently just retired, was a 6-time All-Star, a 5-time All-NBA member. He was so good for the Detroit Pistons in that 2019 season. Much better at his peak and had a longer, I think, peak than Andre Iguodala, than Al Horford as well. So I do think that Blake Griffin's going to be on the cusp. I do think he has a better chance at getting in than an Andre Iguodala, and I do think Blake Griffin will eventually get in. So you know what? I think I'm actually going to put him in the Hall of Fame. I do think Blake Griffin eventually gets in. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be on the first ballot, but I think he'll find a way in. It's tough because there's like really good players that aren't in, like a Chauncey Billups, like a Penny Hardaway, like a Rasheed Wallace. So maybe it's going to be tough for Blake Griffin. So I think I'm actually going to put him on the cusp. Like, I don't know. I think it's like a 50-50 chance he ends up getting in. Maybe I'll do the same with Al Horford because he got that. I don't know. I just don't think Al Horford's going to get in. And the only reason Iggy is here, not sorry, man, is because he has that finals MVP. Bradley Beal, he's on the wrong track right now. Maybe if he developed anything as a winning environment in Washington and stayed there, but ever since coming over to Phoenix, he's not going to put up #1 or #2 stats on a really good team, I think, at any point in his career. As long as Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are there in Phoenix, he's going to have his injuries. He's getting older. Yeah, I don't think Bradley Beal is going to make it to the Hall of Fame. Different career trajectory than the #1 overall pick in the 2012 draft in AD to the #3 in Bradley Beal. Brandon Ingram, he's an interesting one because last year when I did this, I said he was on the right track, finished that 2023 season very strong. But after this year, I don't know if I want to put him on the wrong track. I mean, Brandon Ingram is an all-star. He won that most improved player in 2020, but honestly, I'm trying to think if he could be a number 1, number 2, or number 3 on a championship team, and maybe that won't be Bam Adebayo, but Bam Adebayo is still going to be a top defender in this league. We're not going to see that in Brandon Ingram, and maybe he's going to reinvent himself in the latter half of his career, but I'm going to say that the number 2 overall pick from the 2016 draft is on the wrong track. Yeah, Brook Lopez, I'm sorry, man. Like, really good player throughout the course of his career with the Brooklyn Nets, changed his career around when he ended up going to the Milwaukee Bucks in the 2019 season, won a title with them in 2021, finished runner-up at Defensive Player of the Year voting for the Bucks in the NBA in the 2023 season, but he just doesn't have the apex of some of these other guys, so yeah, he is not going to be a Hall of Famer in my opinion. Chris Paul, the point guard, yeah, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best point guards of all time. Ring or no ring, he had such a good peak, such a long career as a top guy in this league, and one of the best facilitators and point guards of this generation and of all time in my opinion. Is he a top 3 point guard of all time? No. Is he a top 5? You could definitely make an argument for that. So yeah, Chris Paul is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when he retires. I think the same thing will be for Damian Lillard. 8-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA member. He's on the NBA 75th anniversary team. So yeah, that's basically going to give you a lock in the Hall of Fame. So when he retires, either if it's a Buck or a different team, Damian Lillard will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like Chris Paul, even if he doesn't get a ring, he will be a first ballot guy. D'Angelo Russell, yeah, he is on the wrong track. Could he somehow turn his career? No, I actually don't think there's any chance that D'Angelo Russell ends up being a Hall of Famer. Wiggins has a ring. Beal's had the multiple All-Stars and like was a top player at his position for a couple years. Ingram is still really good at 26. I just don't think the way D'Lo's career is going to unfold and his play style is ever going to get him in the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to put him in the sorry man. Darius Garland. Do I think he's on the wrong track or the right track? I would say probably the wrong track, and that doesn't mean you're a bad player whatsoever. We're just trying to hold you up to the highest of standards here, making it to the Hall of Fame. And I don't know if Garland is ever going to have a peak as some of the other point guards around him, like maybe a Cade Cunningham eventually, or LaMelo Ball, or Trey, or Brunson, or De'Aaron Fox, like any of those guys. This year was a little bit of a down year for Darius Garland, but I still think he has a lot to work with over the course of his career, and I probably like his chances out of any other guy in this tier over Ingram, Beal, and Wiggins. I mean, he was drafted 7 years after Beal, he was drafted 5 years after Wiggins, and he was also drafted 3 years after Ingram, so he has a little bit more time, right? De'Aaron Fox, I do think he's on the right track, though. I think he has been better in his career than some of these other guys around him. He's only a 1-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA member, so he definitely kind of needs something to change a little bit. Like maybe he needs to have a season where he's a top 10 guy, kind of like what Jalen Brunson just had last year, or lead the Kings to a conference finals appearance. But I do think he's on the right track to having a really good long peak career, because since the 2019-20 season, that's a 5-year sample size, 24.5 points, 6 assists, good efficiency, leading the Kings like to relevancy there in the Western Conference. I think it's going to hold a lot of meaning in some voters' eyes eventually, and he's still 26 years old. So if we can replicate those numbers for another 4 to 5 years, that is going to be a really long peak. DeAndre Jordan, very good career, very long career, longer than I thought it was going to be. Was great with the Lob City Clippers, got a ring with the Denver Nuggets in 2023, but he wasn't an important player on that team. So yeah, he's unfortunately in the sorry man tier. DeJounte Murray, definitely on the wrong track. Maybe there was a point at the end of those Spurs days where he just got traded for 3 first-round picks in that 2022 offseason. But yeah, I think over the last couple of years, he's on the wrong track. Good player throughout the course of his career, but I think is on more pace to being in the Hall of Very Good than the Hall of Fame. DeMar DeRozan, I think he'll eventually get in. I think he's probably closer to Blake Griffin than we think he is, but I think he has a better chance than him and Iguodala just at the peak of his scoring career. Now, he doesn't have a ring like Iguodala. He doesn't have as many accolades as you would think. He's a 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA member, but I just think he's had a really long scoring peak throughout his career. We'll see if the Kings do anything with him over the next couple of years, probably his final good years of his NBA career. But I think when it's all said and done, with his time on the ballot, he will eventually be a Hall of Famer. Derrick Rose. He's probably going to be the first ever MVP to not make it to the Hall of Fame. He just didn't have as long as a career at the top, obviously due to injuries. Like Iguodala, I will put him on the cusp because of that insane accolade, like a Finals MVP for Iggy, an MVP for Derrick Rose, an MVP, and you're probably not going to make it to the Hall of Fame. Injuries really derailed his career, and it's very sad. Derek White is kind of an interesting one. I don't think he's going to get in because he's like an extreme role player, but man, with a ring this past season as a very important guy on that team, he's might win a gold medal this summer with Team USA. He probably won't be a Hall of Famer, but man, it's going to be an elite role-playing career. Probably going to be in the Role Player Hall of Fame. I think Devin Booker is on the right track, like could get a gold medal this summer as well. Has been a top shooting guard in the league for the last 5+ years, and I think he's going to have the scoring numbers by the end of his career. He's going to have, I think, just the all-around numbers. Was the best player, second best player on that Suns 2021 Western Conference Championship team. Will they go back? Not sure, but I think Devin Booker will be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. He's definitely on the right track. I think Domantas Sabonis is on the right track as well. I made this video last year and said he was on the wrong track, and then after having a top 10 season last year, just being the offensive hub that he is, I think there's actually a chance he could be a Hall of Famer if he keeps this up for 5 more years. So I think Sabonis has definitely turned his career around to being a top player in this league ever since getting traded to the Sacramento Kings at that 2022 trade deadline. Donovan Mitchell, like Devin Booker, is on the right track as well. He's going to have the peak numbers. He's going to be a top shooting guard in the league throughout the rest of his prime, and he's been an elite scorer since he got drafted back in the 2017 draft by the Utah Jazz. Well, I should say technically by the Denver Nuggets. So Draymond Green. Do I think Draymond's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? He's got 4 rings. He's got a Defensive Player of the Year award. Like, he's a 4-time All-Star. I think he's actually going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when it's all said and done, which is crazy because, like, DeRozan was probably, I don't know if he was always a better player than Draymond, but you wouldn't think that they'd be so far apart. But obviously, Draymond has been in the perfect situation playing with Steph Curry throughout the course of his career. Fred VanVleet got a ring with the Toronto Raptors in 2019. Going to be an underrated player for his career, I think, when we look back on it, being undrafted, being 6 feet tall, and being a really good guy in this league. I mean, I guess maybe not, since he just got a $40 million contract a year from the Houston Rockets last season. Giannis Antetokounmpo, first ballot Hall of Famer, already 2 MVPs, international stuff like leading Greece to relevancy, and being a top player in the NBA for a long period of time. Was the 2021 Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year winner. Yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Gordon Hayward, who just retired, had a nice career, long career from the 2010 draft class. Crazy Paul George is the only guy remaining from that draft class, but yeah, he will not be a Hall of Famer. I think Ja Morant is on the right track. Now, I don't think the Basketball Hall of Fame is as stingy as like the Baseball Hall of Fame, where you see guys that maybe did steroids or have a bad relationship like with the media, maybe like Kurt Schilling. Like, Ja Morant, I think, will be fine, and he's going to get back on track and not going to have any of the off-the-court stuff throughout the rest of his career. I mean, he's still insanely young, and he's been a top point guard for the last couple of years. I think he's on the right track being a top player in this league. Man, Jalen Brunson, oh, he's going to be an interesting one, because Brunson's 27 years old. Can we get 4 more years of these numbers? I'm not sure. For somebody that's a smaller guard, it's going to be tough, I think, when it's all said and done for Brunson. You can make an argument that he was a top 10 player in the NBA over the last 2 seasons. I'll say he's on the right track if he can put this together, but out of everybody here in the on the right track tier, I think it's going to be kind of tough. I think Fox is just going to have a longer career, maybe not as like a top 10 guy, but I think just a longer career overall as being like a top 15 guy in this league and being a number 1. I mean, Brunson's 27. Maybe he's doing this for another 7 years till he's 34. Maybe he ages as well as like a Damian Lillard did, or maybe somebody like a Kyrie Irving did as like a score first guard. But I just think it's a little scary because he's only had 2 elite years. So I don't think he's on the wrong track. Like, I like his chances better than anybody here. I know Wiggins has a ring. I know some of these guys have been top scoring options for longer in their careers, because Brunson was drafted in 2018, but he was an older player coming out of the draft. But he's got the numbers at Nova as well, National Player of the Year. You know what? I think he's on the right track. I actually, yeah, you take into account the Villanova stuff, he's on the right track to being a Hall of Famer. Jamal Murray, this is an interesting one, because Jamal Murray had a elite playoff run with the Denver Nuggets back in 2023. Was really good for them in the bubble as well in the playoffs, but has struggled to stay healthy. He's looked bad for Canada. I don't know if I want to say he's on the wrong track, but I think like when it's all said and done, he's going to be like I don't know though. You know what? I think he's on the wrong track. Yeah, it's scary. I was also going to compare him to Chauncey Billups. Sorry before when I said he wasn't a Hall of Famer. He was inducted this year, but I just think Jamal Murray isn't going to have that peak, and while he had that elite 2023 playoff run, unless we see that maybe 1 or 2 more times, I don't think he's going to have the top numbers. He was never an all-star. Like, that's going to be tough, and I don't know if he's going to have the accolades to do so, unless he balls out for Canada and they win a gold medal, and then we can say something a little bit differently. James Harden, first ballot Hall of Famer, elite scoring peak, one of the best scoring peaks we have seen in quite some time when he was with the Houston Rockets, won the 2018 MVP award. That's a no-brainer. I think Jared Allen's on the wrong track. I mean, he's a really good player, just got $90 million for the next 3 years on that contract extension with the Cavs, but I don't know if he's ever going to have those peak numbers. Jaylen Brown, I think if he retired today, I don't think he would be a Hall of Famer, but he's very close to doing so. Just got a Finals MVP, and is still incredibly young, and has had a supermax contract from the Celtics. He can, I was going to say could get a gold medal, but he's not on Team USA. But I think that Jaylen Brown will be fine. Tatum would be kind of funny if he retired, like, say, after the Olympics with a gold medal. I mean, I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer, but he's obviously on the right track. I think there's one guy that's, like, in that 2016, 17, 18 drafted year that will be a Hall of Famer if they retire today. But, yeah, like, Tatum will eventually get in. Like, he's just still incredibly young, right? So, he doesn't have a Finals MVP, doesn't have an MVP, but multiple All-Stars, All-NBA appearances, possibly a gold medal. We'll see. Jimmy Butler will be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he'll be on the first ballot, but I feel like if I have Draymond there, I might bump Draymond. Like, I kind of want to hold this first ballot for, like, the best of the best. So I'm going to have Jimmy Butler, who led the Heat to a finals in 20 and 23. He's had a really good career. He's got a gold medal, too. Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. Joakim Noah, man, that one season before signing with the New York Knicks, being a top 5 MVP finisher, Defensive Player of the Year, but he's not going to be a Hall of Famer. Embiid, if he retired today, I don't know if he would get in. I mean, he's won an MVP award, but he's obviously on the right track. We just need a couple more healthy years. Gold medal, he'll get in. He'll be a Hall of Famer. Drew Holiday. Oh, man, I think he's going to be an on-the-cusp guy. Never like a top guy, never a top 10, 20 player in the NBA, but 2 rings as an important guy. 21 with the Bucks, 24 with the Celtics. Gold medal in 2020, 6-time Defensive Player of the Year winner. I think he's actually going to be a borderline guy when he retires. I don't know if he's going to get in, but I do think he's going to be in the consideration at least. Julius Randle, multiple-time All-NBA guy, multiple-time All-Star, but probably on the wrong track. But obviously for a lot of these guys, if they get a ring, this could change completely. If, like, the Knicks get a ring, this could change a lot for Brunson and Julius Randle. If Donovan Mitchell gets a ring, this could change even a little bit for Jared Allen or Darius Garland. Like, a lot can change here if these guys do end up getting rings. Kawhi Leonard, first ballot Hall of Famer, that is a no-brainer. KCP, multiple-time NBA champion with the Nuggets in 23, Lakers in 2020, but he will not be a Hall of Famer. Kevin Durant, the greatest Olympic player for Team USA, at least scoring-wise. Yeah, obviously 2-time Finals MVP. I don't need to speak Kevin Durant's resume. It speaks for itself. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. I think Chris Middleton could have some consideration. He's a 3-time All-Star. I don't know. I don't think he's going to get in. Like, I'm going to put on the wrong track, not like the Starman. I don't think he has a 0% chance, but I think Middleton's actually had a fine career. Klay Thompson, I mean, I feel like he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but the thing is, like, if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, then is Draymond a first ballot Hall of Famer? So I'm going to put him in this Hall of Fame. Like, maybe they're first ballot, but I'm not going to, like, bet my life on it. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but I think, like, they'll definitely be Hall of Famers 100%, but it's just would they get in on the first year? We'll see. Kristaps, I mean, he just got a ring, but I think injuries are really going to hurt him, so I think he's going to be on the wrong track. Kyle Kuzma, yeah, he's been fine. Got a ring with the Lakers in 2020, but on the wrong track. Kyle Lowry, I think he will eventually get in. I don't think he's as on the cusp as some of these other guys. Got a ring with the Raptors in 2019 as their second best player behind Kawhi Leonard. Has a couple more All-Stars than like a Drew Holiday. Still a really good defensive player throughout the course of his career. I think he will get in and has a better chance than Drew, Blake, Iggy, or Derrick Rose. Kyrie Irving, first ballot Hall of Famer, 100%. LaMarcus Aldridge, who also retired semi-recently, I think he'll eventually get in as well. Like, I think him and Blake probably have the best chance out of anybody in this on the cusp here. And I think when it's all said and done, Drew can be like a borderline guy, but we'll see. LaMelo Ball, like, if he can actually reach his potential, I think he's on the right track. All-star, incredible scoring guard. It's just, will he be able to stay healthy throughout the course of his career? Lauri Markkanen, good player, but I just don't think I could put him in this on the right track. Like, we look at guys here that are just like all NBA guys, have had top 10 seasons, or have just like the potential to be good for 15 years. Like, it took a little bit longer for Markkanen. I don't know if he's ever going to be a ceiling raiser. I think the one guy you could be like, Matt, how do you have Markkanen and on the wrong track, but LaMelo and on the right track? It's just because he was drafted 3 years later, and come on, like, there's a peak difference here that we think that LaMelo can achieve. LeBron, obviously first ballot Hall of Famer. Luka Doncic, I think if he retired today, would be a first ballot Hall of Famer for what he did in Euroball before coming over to the NBA. He's got already 5 All-NBA first teams, scoring title, has led the Mavericks to the conference finals twice, an NBA finals appearance. I actually think, I don't know if he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer if he retired today, maybe, but I'm just going to say if he retired today, Luka's already a Hall of Fame player. And obviously you have like coaching, like one of these guys too could go into coaching when they retire. Like Al Horford could be a coach. Brook Lopez could be a coach. I'm just saying out random names. They could be a really good coach and be a Hall of Famer, but this is just off their playing careers. I think Mikal Bridges has been a very good player, but I think he's always going to be more of a complimentary piece, not as a number one. He's on the wrong track. Mike Conley. I don't think he's going to have like the All-Stars or the accolades to get in, but he's been a really good point guard. So I'll say he's on the wrong track. Even if the Timberwolves get a finals victory, he's probably gonna be like the 5th best player on that team. So it's gonna be tough for Mike Conley. I just don't think he gets in. If like Al Horford's here, I don't think he's far off. Nikola Jokic, if he retired today, would be a first ballot Hall of Famer, 3 MVPs. Yeah, that's gonna lock you in. OG Anunoby, elite defender, but injuries are gonna bang him up. He didn't even play for the Raptors in 2019 due to injuries, so he's on the wrong track. Siakam, Siakam's an interesting one because Siakam got a ring with the Raptors in 2019, most improved, all-star appearances. We're going to have to see it for a little bit longer, but I do think he's on the right track. Like, having that ring is going to hold you over Lauri Markkanen, who may be in the best position out of any of these guys. Paul George, I think, will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's just going to have the longevity in the league, still playing at an elite level, just got a max contract, and still from the 2010 draft class, the only guy remaining there, while other guys that we'll get to have retired for a couple years. Paul Millsap, good career for the Nuggets and the Hawks, but sorry, man, unfortunately not going to be a Hall of Famer. I think Rajon Rondo will be in the Hall of Fame. Good defending point guard, got a ring with the Celtics and with the LA Lakers. One of the best passing point guards of the 21st century. I don't think it's going to be on the first ballot, but I think he has a better chance than all the guys in on the cusp. Rudy Gobert, Hall of Famer. If he retired today, the 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, 4 All-NBA appearances. We'll see what France can do in the Olympics as well. I don't know if it would be the first ballot if he retired today, but I do think he will be a Hall of Famer. Ben Wallace is in the Hall of Fame. I think Rudy Gobert will be in the Hall of Fame, which is crazy to say. But yeah, Rudy Gobert is definitely a Hall of Famer with the defensive accolades. Russell Westbrook, 2017 MVP, average a triple-double, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, easy one, on the right track, one of the best scoring players in this league. Just finished runner-up in MVP voting and was just drafted back in 2018. Steph Curry, first ballot Hall of Famer, obviously. Trae Young, on the right track as well, led the Hawks to an Eastern Conference Finals appearance back in 2021. He's basically averaged 27 and 10 since his sophomore year. He's going to have the numbers when it's all said and done as well. We'll see if he can get any playoff success. I would say the guys that I feel least confident about in this tier, I mean, maybe it's LaMelo if he never taps into the potential, but I think he will, but maybe injuries. I think Fox and Sabonis, I like, and Siakam, I think like maybe these 4 guys at the bottom, and just Brunson because he's a little bit older than some of these other guys. But he's got the college stuff to be on the right track. Halliburton on the right track as well. Could get a gold medal, but it's weird because like he could get a gold medal. I don't want to hold that to the highest standard, but he's not really going to play meaningful minutes on that team. But hey, a gold medal is still a gold medal. I think Maxey is actually on the right track from the 2020 Classic. If I have LaMelo here, I got to put Maxey here. Just being an all-star, getting a max extension. I mean, that obviously won't really come into play for his Hall of Fame resume, but I think he's going to be a really good scorer for a really long time, where he's on the right track. He's doing all we can right now, especially someone that wasn't a high pick in the 2020 draft. It was a non-lottery selection. Wemby, yeah, I mean, on the right track. He's 1 for 1 and having good years in this league, so he's definitely on the right track 100%. Zach LaVine, unfortunately, on the wrong track just with injuries and just like Bradley Beal. I don't know if he's a ceiling raiser throughout the course of his career. Zion bounced back, but I think just always the injury concern. I think Zion is going to join Markkanen as like the best guy and on the wrong track, just because will he be able to like lead his team fully healthy? I'm not sure, and I'm going to be a little bit cautious with that, and you might be like, Matt, that's hypocritical because you have LaMelo Ball here, but I just think LaMelo Ball, even like if they're both fully healthy, has maybe still a higher ceiling than Zion Williamson, so I get that. It's just, I don't know, Zion has missed so much time in this league, and how is he going to be when he's north of 30, right? Like when he's over 30 years old, because he struggled to stay healthy in his young, like early days here in the NBA as a young 20-year-old. Carmelo Anthony will be a first ballot Hall of Famer 100%. Kemba Walker, unfortunately, will not be a Hall of Famer. Good career, but won't be in the Hall of Fame. For Marc Gasol, I don't know if he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but with what he did in Spain in the Olympics and just kind of playing over there as well, defensive peak as good as anybody else here, up there with Gobert and like Kawhi and Draymond. I don't know if it's going to be the first ballot. I think he gets in. I don't know why, but Basketball Reference has him with a really low probability. Maybe I'm overrating Marc Gasol's NBA career, but I think when you're looking at it in like globally, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer and has a better chance than these guys. I don't know. I don't know why they have it. They have it at like a 4% when all these guys are around 50 besides Drew. And Derrick Rose, I think, is like a 10%. John Wall, I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, sadly. Just didn't have that peak, and injuries derailed his career. I think Kevin Love will be a Hall of Famer. He had that peak in Minnesota, got a ring with the Cavs in 2016. I don't think it's going to be on the first ballot, but I think just having that ring as the 3rd best guy will eventually get him in. And having multiple years as a top 15 guy in the league with the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think helps him out a ton also. Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm going to put him on the right track. I mean, he's put up really good numbers as someone that's still incredibly young in this league. He's like one of the younger guys from that 2018 draft class. Already has a Defensive Player of the Year award. I think he's still on the right track. Even if he gets like one more Defensive Player of the Year, I think he will be in good positioning to get in with that side of play. DeMarcus Cousins, I don't think it's in, sadly. I don't. Because his NBA career is pretty much over. 4-time All-Star, no playoff success. Yeah, it's sad to not put him in there, but DeMarcus Cousins was so good in Sacramento. They just could never build a good roster around him. Dwight Howard, first ballot Hall of Famer. That is 100%. There shouldn't be anybody arguing that. And JJ Redick is kind of a wild card here because his playing career, no shot. But if he somehow leads the Lakers to an NBA championship as a head coach, he could be in the Hall of Fame. But for now, playing career, he's in the sorry man tier. So that is going to be for me. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you drop a thumbs up. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.